This is the POCO X6 Pro, a device that's focused on two things: price, $349, and performance, which you saw at the start of this video, which is pretty great and, well, pretty surprising. And the POCO X6 Pro is a truly POCO phone, something that's been lost in the last few devices, and that is to deliver price and performance. But there's so much to love here about the POCO X6 Pro, and we're going to tell you in this review why the X6 Pro is a true throwback to the original POCO series, but also should be something you consider for your next device. Let's talk about performance of the POCO X6 Pro. Let's just go through some specification with you here. 6.67 inch AMOLED display, 120 Hz, MediaTek Dimensity 8300 Ultra, sweet. 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, 5000 milliamp hour battery, and a whopping 67 watts of fast charging. Now, that means absolutely nothing unless we could translate it to actual performance. So how does that performance actually translate in the real world? Well, the 8300 MediaTek performs very well and actually sits on the mid to high end of the mid-range devices when you run it through your relevant benchmarks. And then in terms of the phone's functionality and usability, well, again, it's butter smooth. In our hands-on, there was no slowdown, no ghosting. That 120 Hz combined with that 8300 MediaTek Dimensity Ultra processor run butter smooth, which is incredible. The screen response of the 120 Hz is perfect, and the processing of video again is very impressive, which means you can play back pretty much any video at the highest possible quality, which is sick. Combined with that AMOLED display, you get amazing color reproduction. In fact, 68 billion color profile that makes it all possible, makes that all sync and run smoothly because of that MediaTek 8300 Ultra processor. Then in terms of sound, well, it fires from the top and the bottom speakers, which is sick. I actually thought it fired just from the bottom, but it doesn't. It's from top and bottom, as you can see in this video. And then you don't get the most richest, highest quality or the deepest bass, but overall the sound is better than you would expect for a device that costs $349. So in terms of the MediaTek 8300 processor on the POCO X6 Pro, it is doing incredibly good things, especially in terms of the user experience. Let's talk software. In fact, let's talk HyperOS, which is the latest and newest software developed from the ground up. It's more of a refinement than anything else by Xiaomi, which is obviously the parent company for POCO. And in our experience, HyperOS has essentially refined everything about MIUI and kind of tweaked it to make it a bit more fun to use, a bit more satisfying to use. So let's talk animations, for example, which is the main thing here. You can delete unwanted pre-installed apps, but when you delete them, you get a pretty cool, fun animation. Transitioning between apps, multitasking, all of that runs incredibly well on the POCO X6 Pro, and that's all helped by the fact that the 120 Hz display is present as well. So the combination works incredibly well, which is stunning. Multitasking window looks a little bit different. You get essentially a drop down to swipe left to delete, to remove those apps. And then if we're transitioning between apps, opening and closing those really quickly, you can see there's no slowdown, there's no jitter. The software is incredibly well optimized for this device, for this processor, for this phone, and in fact is a great advert to kind of think what could be possible in the near future with a top end of those. So if you're running a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 on, say, a Xiaomi 14 Ultra, how will that software run? I could probably guarantee you it will run butter smooth. So HyperOS, an excellent refinement of MIUI. Nothing dramatic, but a refinement nevertheless. So let's talk cameras of the POCO X6 Pro. First of all, that rehousing is incredibly ugly. It's way too big and yeah, it's ugly. Plus this phone's a fingerprint magnet. Anyway, so the main focus of the X6 Pro isn't its cameras. It's not like they haven't bothered, but it's not its focus. It's been its processor, and we've already discussed that in this review. But specs wise, you get a 64 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro lens. kind of the standard as you'd expect, but those specs mean absolutely nothing without some tangible evidence to see what performance can look like. So let's now shoot across to a slideshow, which will show you what the X6 Pro cameras are capable of. So where does that leave us at the end of this review? We've talked about everything, and our thought, genuinely, it's incredible. The POCO X6 Pro is incredible because it does everything that the original POCO series done. Offered you incredible value for money, really good high-end performance, and all of it came with not much in the way of compromise. Look, we haven't even talked about the design of the X6 Pro, and in our touch, feel, fit, finish, screen to body ratio, placement of the front facing camera, everything is as you'd expect. This is a truly stunning phone. The highlight of it all, though, I will say, is that processor combined with the screen, the 120 Hz refresh. Everything works incredibly well. And the POCO X6 Pro is a return of the POCO series, which we love. And in reality, there's not much here that you're losing out on. I think the biggest compromise, I would say, is the cameras, but I like the fact that they focused on the processor. So this is the best advert for HyperOS. Combined with that processor, you get an incredible user experience. If you're not someone who's very camera heavy, taking loads of photos and videos, etc., the POCO X6 Pro is a must. In fact, if you look at 2024, yes, we're in January, yes, we're getting started. This, value for money wise, is a proposition. Performance, specifications, look, feel, fit, finish. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty hard to beat. The POCO X6 Pro could well, in fact, it has set the benchmark for mid-range devices. So Apple, Samsung, Google, your turn, kids. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, as always, we out.